Hey the diddle 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 die. Hey the diddle diddle. Hey the diddle diddle. Hey the diddle doodle diddle 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 doodle. Hey the diddly doodly. Hey the spiddly doodly diddly diddle 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 die. Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am thrilled and delighted and excited and a little bit scared, a little bit shaking in my trousers, a little bit moistening my trousers, if you will, at the subject for this interview. Not at the man himself, not at Robert Viagas. Dave was a little scared of him when he was Dave's boss, but after that, he was fine. So he is now a friend, he is now a colleague. He was on this program just before the pandemic back in the day, talking about his career in theater, working for Playbill, doing shows for Sirius XM, writing the books that he's written about the Fantastics and about Chorus Line. But now he has a brand new book that you can get just in time for Halloween. It's all about, ghoulies and ghosties and goblins backstage at the great theaters. So we're going to ask him some questions about the book, about the stories that he's heard, true or not, apocryphal or not. I know I've seen the movie Apocryphix now a lot of times. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome to the neighborhood and give a big shalom and welcome back to Robert Viagas. Shalom, Robert.
Shana Tova, Rabbi. How are you today?
Oh, I love the way you're using the Hebrew. This is beautiful. The Shana Tova. Happy New Year to you, even though it's not your New Year, you're a goy. But Shana.
I'm a giant shagets, that's true, but my first wife was Jewish, so I belong to a temple. I'm one of the few goyim who actually belong to a temple. I was the member of Temple Bethel in Fairfield, Connecticut. I was the Shabbos goy for the entire congregation.
Wait a minute. Why you lived on Long Island? You're working in New York, or
At that time I lived up in Connecticut. I've lived all over the place.
I did not know this. Where are you now?
I'm on Long Island now.
Long Island. This is good. I love the books behind you. You know, you are an honorary Jew because you have so many books behind you on the shelves. This makes you an honorary. And can I ask you that other thing on your other shoulder? Is that an award or what is that?
That is the poster from the Fantastics, the original poster given to me by Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt for my book, The Amazing Story of the Fantastics. By the way, I keep piles of my books next to me and I rub them.
Well, you're sex.
I have 21. I've published 21 books. Number 22 is coming out next June. But let's talk about 21 today.
Yeah, you have the Right This Way, the history of the audience. That's going to.
That is correct. Oh, I happen to have a sample of the cover right here, but that's coming out next June. Well, this is the book that I'm interested in talking about today.
Okay, so good morning, Olive. At least, well, tell us the title. The title, Olive.
Boker Tov Olive.
What? Sorry.
Boker Tov Olive.
Okay. Oh, you are. Yeah. Are you thinking of converting? Because
no.
I do brisses too. And
no, my second wife is the Shiksa goddess, and so I'm going to stay where I am.
You told that story on the air last time, how you reconnected with your crush back in the day. You're still together. This is mazel.
Yes. My son just got married.
Double mazel.
That's right.
Double. Right. And so I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled at all these wonderful things.
Thank you.
But more important than your marriage and your kid and your book, you wrote a book. So the book is Good Morning, Boker Tov, as you said, Olive. Who is Olive? What does that phrase even come from?
Okay. You know, people put out books. They always look for like a scary title. Oh, thank you, Joyce. They always like to put out a scary title on the book, but I wanted to spark people's interest. Now, as you described earlier, I worked at Playbill for 25 years, and during that time, I was friends with Louis Botto, who did At This Theater. I then took it over when Louis retired, and Louis used to talk about these ghost stories, and he would tell me these ghost stories. So I kind of picked up on it, and I started collecting them, and to the point where people would write to me, and they'd say, I know this sounds crazy. You're going to think I'm nuts, and then they would tell me about a ghostly experience that they had at the theaters. And one of the first ones that I heard about was Olive Thomas. Olive Thomas, as you pointed out, was a Ziegfeld girl. She lived in the teens. That was the peak of her career in the teens. She appeared in Ziegfeld's Midnight Frolics, which was kind of a more adult version of the Follies, and it was done. Yes, it was done on the roof of the New Amsterdam Theater. The New Amsterdam roof had sort of a nightclub theater. It actually had hatches that could open up to the stars at night. It was incredible, and she appeared in that.
I don't want to break in, but I do want to break in that our shul has that. It's missing roof tiles, so we just can't make it. We call it a hatch. It's really
well, maybe Olive will haunt there too.
Oh, this
She was there, and she became just everybody's darling. She was gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful. Olive Thomas was her name, redhead. And she was kind of swept up by Hollywood, and she went out to Hollywood, and she married Mary Pickford's brother, Jack Pickford. And Jack was a terrible playboy. And I don't know, is this an adult show? Can I say an adult thing on this show?
I've read a few terrible playboys. There was March of 1978 where the girl, the pubes, you couldn't even see anything. But no, I think you're talking.
They would get rid of them. Anyway, she married this guy, and he contracted a venereal disease, and he passed it on to her his after he married her, and he had to take this medication. They used to give them this horrible. This is before they had penicillin. They would give him this horrible medication, bichloride of mercury, and they were on a trip to France, and they had a fight, and she accidentally, there are three theories here. She either accidentally took the whole bottle of bichloride of mercury, thinking that it was some other kind of medication, or she committed suicide, or he killed her. Now, it's hard to force pills down somebody's throat, so I don't really believe in the killed her.
It was syrup. I didn't realize they were pills. Okay, yeah.
No, they were pills shaped like coffins, because they wanted people to know that they were poison. That's what they would do in those days. They made them shaped like coffins. There's pictures of them on the internet. You can look it up, bichloride of mercury.
Look it up later, people. We're here watching Robert, and then you can look it up later after the show.
Okay. She took these pills and died, and in France. Shortly after she died, people at the New Amsterdam Theater started seeing her. She would come up to them, and she'd say, "Good morning, fella." She appeared almost exclusively to men. And the voice that I just did, Rabbi, I'm imitating different people who have encountered her, who don't know each other, and they all imitate her the same way. And now,
but can you explain? She went out to Hollywood. Why wouldn't she be haunting MGM? Why would she specifically pick?
There's a lot of theories on that. Sometimes ghosts, when they die traumatically, they're stuck in that place. But sometimes they go to the place where they were the happiest. And in Olive's case, it may have been the New Amsterdam Theater. I mean, she managed to get across the Atlantic Ocean. That takes a lot of moxie, whether you're dead or alive.
This is so, but let me ask you then, who is the most recent person to have said, oh, good morning, Olive. When, were these 20, 50, 80 years ago, or did someone like within the past 5 years? Oh, yeah.
Almost all the stories that I have in this book are recent stories. These are not all long ago and far away stories. I'm just setting up her story. She has appeared continuously throughout the decades. During the time that the theater was closed, there was nobody in there, so nobody saw her. But when she came into my life is when Disney was fixing up the theater. And the people working on the show, I'm working on the theater, suddenly there were guys in the balcony. They'd be working on it was a construction site. And suddenly this woman in this filmy blue dress with a sash, carrying a blue bottle, would appear to them and say, "How you doing, fella?" And the workers complained to the foreman, and the foreman said, and they said, "Who is this woman wandering around the construction site? She should at least have a hat on,
or a yarmulke,
a construction helmet on." And one of the guys who saw her called up Louis Botto, because they said, "Oh, there's this guy at Playbill who collects these stories." And I remember sitting there listening to Louis on the phone with this guy who was hysterical. She appears frequently at the theater. She used to appear only to men, although she recently appeared to a female conductor So maybe she's maybe
Well, the
she's
connection
getting,
could have been
a
great.
little more woke now that she's been
maybe.
dead for 100 years. But she used to appear only to men, and she would always look the same. She would always say the same things. A lot of the ghosts, they're really like vaudeville performers. They always have the same costume on, and they always have the same shtick. They always kind of do the same thing for everybody. So it's like a vaudeville act. And anyway, Dana Amendola, who is the manager of the New Amsterdam, he has seen her several times. And it's to the point where he has posted her picture at every entrance to the New Amsterdam. I have a picture of the stage door. There's a picture of Olive. If you come in the main entrance, you go past all these famous, people, Fanny Brice and Eddie Cantor and all these people who appeared at the theater over the years. And the last picture on the right is Olive. Why? Because the people who work there, when they arrive for work in the morning, if they don't say, "Good morning, Olive," stuff happens to them. They get tripped. They've come to their dressing room and everything has been thrown on the floor. I mean, there are so many stories about Olive recently. The most recent story I have was last summer. They had a new watchman, a new night watchman, who said he was crossing the stage, and this woman dressed in the blue outfit with the sash and the bottle came toward him, and she looked at him. She didn't say anything. She turned and walked through the brick wall at the back of the theater, and he called up Dana in the middle of the night and quit.
Oh my God!
And I'm not spending any more time at this theater.
Yeah, but
so Olive is not only the sexiest Broadway ghost. She's not only one of the most active Broadway ghosts, although there are others. She's also she appears all the time. She appears a lot. Sometimes she appears as a pair of feet, just a pair of feet walking up and down the stairs. Her main haunt. Remember, I told you that there used to be a theater on the roof, the New Am roof. It's now offices for Disney. Schumacher, who's the head of that, sits on what used to be the stage. But when Olive was appearing in the frolics, one of her things was she had to climb up a little set of stairs from the trap. Now, you know what a trap door is. It's a door that goes down to the section under the stage known as the trap. She would come up from the trap and she'd make her appearance on the stage. Supposedly that trap is the most haunted place in the theater, and the public doesn't see that very much. The people who work there, though, see it all the time. In fact, I was taken down there on a tour by one of the carpenters who has seen her frequently. So you say, when does she appear? She appears all the time, but mainly the people who work there.
In your whole, not even just theater, I mean, have you ever seen an unexplained, inexplicable ghost or spirit, or something happened that it happened, I saw it, I witnessed it, where you just have no idea?
Was that a ghost?
I ain't afraid of
I have to tell you, I would love to see a ghost. I would love to see a ghost, and I've tried to see ghosts. I asked Disney if I could stay over at the theater, and they said you can't stay over for insurance purposes, but you can stay till midnight. So I stayed till midnight, and Olive did not appear to me. But one time, when I befriended this carpenter who works at the theater, and he took me into the trap, which is now used as a storage space. There's a lot of old pieces of furniture and lumber and pieces of metal, and it's kind of a spooky space already. And I went in there and I said, "Hello, Olive Thomas." Nothing. Olive? Nothing. So I was really disappointed. But then I remembered that women from that period, they were very, very proud of their married names.
Mr. So-and-so, yeah.
Okay.
So I said, "Mrs. Pickford, are you there?" And there was this huge piece of, it was a door frame. It was a prop. I mean, it was a prop door, but it had like a metal flange on it so that you could attach it to something else. It must have been 800 pounds. It lifted up and it went boom. Now, the carpenter and I started laughing because, we didn't think it was a ghost. We thought it was just a coincidence.
Right.
I mean,
yes, but
we didn't immediately say, "Oh, a ghost." No, we said, "Oh, isn't that funny?" Just as I said that, this thing goes boom. I said, "That was great. That was great." I said, "Let me try it again."
Oh.
I said, "Mrs. Pickford, are you there?" And it went boom again. I would love to have a much more dramatic story with being drenched with ectoplasm, but unfortunately that is the closest that I have ever come to an actual personal experience. But it is Olive, and I did name my book after Olive, so she owes me.
Good. By the way, the book is called Good Morning Olive. You can get it
Good
from
morning, Olive. Good morning, Olive. You have to say good morning to Olive. But she's one story in here. I have more than 200 ghost stories in this book. Broadway, off Broadway, around the world, across the United States. I have ghost stories from South America and Asia and haunted theaters. There's haunted theaters everywhere. But Rabbi, I got to tell you something. I actually have, unlike a lot of these people, I actually had a scientific approach to this. You may remember, and you briefly mentioned it, that I used to be editor of a series called the Playbill Broadway Yearbook.
Oh, sure, of course, yes.
I did this for 10 years. Every show has a chapter, and every show has the complete contents of the playbill. But to add to that, to make a little extra, I would have a thing called in the back of it, I'd have a thing called the scrapbook, where I would have somebody from the show answer a bunch of questions about life on the show. Things like memorable notes from the fans. Where did you go for your opening night party? What were your special backstage rituals? What were memorable ad libs that people did on stage? What were embarrassing moments? Favorite snack foods of the cast? What'd you do with the holidays? So it's very, very rich variety of life backstage. And every show I asked, did you see a ghost?
Whoa.
And so I did this for 10 years, every show at every theater for 10 years. So I almost have a spreadsheet of ghostly appearances on Broadway. And one very interesting thing popped up, and you alluded to it earlier, Rabbi, or Dave did.
Rather lewd, yes.
You alluded to it lewdly, and you mentioned the fact that some of the theaters
don't have.
Never had a ghost. I would ask, did you see any ghosts? They're like, no, I'm sorry, we didn't see anything on this show. But the theaters that never had that didn't have a ghost, never had a ghost. I never got a ghost story out of those theaters. But the theaters that did have a ghost story always had a ghost story. It was almost as if some theaters actually had ghosts and other theaters actually didn't have ghosts. And the ghostly appearances were pretty consistent from person to person to person at various, because shows come and go. I would have a correspondent on every show, and they would say, yeah, we had that laughing ghost on our show. One of the theaters has a ghost that laughs during the performance.
It didn't matter what the show was. 2 years later, the laughing ghost would be back, even though it was a comedy playing there, and now they're doing Death of a Salesman. And
yes.
Oh, it's gonna die. Yeah.
Laura Benanti was appearing at the St. James in Gypsy. She was playing Gypsy, and I told her this story. I said, have you seen the ghost? She said, what ghost? We don't have a ghost. I said, you supposedly have a laughing ghost who laughs inappropriately during performances. And the people and I got this from one of the ushers that worked there. And the usher said, when the people in the orchestra would complain to me and said, could you get that idiot in the balcony to stop laughing? And the people in the balcony would say, can you get that idiot downstairs to stop laughing during the show? And Laura's eyes got big. And she said, one night I was singing Little Lamb. Just when, you know the song.
Lamb, lamb, I wonder who I am, or how old I am.
I wonder how old I am. And when she gets to that heartbreaking final line, I wonder how old, because it's her birthday and she's singing to her stuffed animals. And you realize her mother has never told her her real age. And she says, I wonder how old I am. And in the middle of singing that line, suddenly this insane laughter burst out of the house. Ooh. And she said, I think I experienced a ghost. And I said, yeah, well, I'm trying to find out. Do you think it's, who do you think it was? Do you think it was an actor? And she said, I know it wasn't an act. I know it wasn't a professional, because a professional would not interrupt a performance.
Ah.
Yeah, and besides, if I were a ghost, I would haunt any show Laura Benanti's in. You know, but she's appearing half naked in the show. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go through the wall on this one." Yeah, but why wouldn't a ghost? If a ghost can walk through a wall, or and go do it, why wouldn't they go across the street? Like, I've been at the Booth Theater so many times. Let me go into the Neil Simon Theater.
Well, as I said, some ghosts are locked into where they're seem to be locked into where they are. Some ghosts seem to move around. I have many stories. Many theaters claim that they have. I'm having a senior moment here. Super famous magician. Escape.
Copperfield?
No. You old is
Houdini.
who?
Ricky Jay?
No. Old 20s, all the way back.
Oh,
Mandrake?
Who's the guy buried in the cemetery near my parents?
Houdini.
Houdini, thank you. A lot of theaters claim that they have the ghost of Houdini, that they've seen him, that they know that he's Houdini. And my feeling is, it's Houdini. He can get out of anything. He can do whatever he wants.
His
Houdini's ghost
communicates. So tell us.
Houdini's ghost moves around a lot. He appears in California. He appears in the Midwest where he died. He appears in Canada. We have a report of his ghost appearing in Canada.
Joyce asks Dave's wife, Joyce, just asked a very important question. Are the ghosts equity? Like, do they get...
Some of the ghosts, I'm sure, are equity. I wonder if they're still collecting.
You have to ask AFTRA. Or GAFTRA. It's a ghost federal. But let me also...
In the afterlife, they are.
Of all the stories of the ghost stories in your book, Good Morning Olive, which people can get from Amazon, or just go directly to Applause Theater and Cinema Books, or get it online, get it from A Books, wherever you want to get your books. Get Robert Viagas' book. Just don't wait for Christmas. Get it now for the Halloween holiday. Give it to the theater lover. Give it to the ghost story lover. And anybody who likes mystery stories, and Agatha Christie will like this too. So, but
well, if your name is Olive, or if you like olives.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that, but I think those are good ideas also.
Or if I turn to my wife and I say, Olive you.
There we go. Perfect.
It doesn't have
Good morning, Olive you. This is a nice way to say I love you.
It could just be for people who like theater. It doesn't have to be anything
Absolutely.
about scary.
Well, yes, but in fact, not even scary. If you had to pick like one of the funniest stories in the book, one of the funniest ghost appearance things, what would it be? Could you pick one like
ghost funny?
Yes, zaniest, most ridiculous.
Non-scary.
Patti LuPone says that there is a ghost at one of the Broadway theaters she has appeared in repeatedly, and this ghost manifests itself in a weird way. It steps on your toes.
Aww.
Whenever she's in her dressing room, she goes to get dressed. She opens up her closet, and she can feel a little foot stepping on her toe.
Is it a puppy?
Good. I hope it's not Robert.
Okay, we're talking about adorable stories now. We're going to modulate here to adorable stories. Most adorable ghost story is the ghost of Mosby, who haunts the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
When they were working on the theater, the workers of the theater had this little friend that used to come and visit them, a cat. And they named the cat Mosby. And the cat became such a friend of theirs, they actually built a little place for the cat to sit at the edge of the balcony and look out over the theater while they were working. And it's still there, by the way. Mosby, he only has 9 lives. And so after the 9th life was gone, people at the theater say that they can sometimes hear a cat meowing. They can sometimes feel a cat rubbing against their legs. And the theater, some of the theaters don't want you to talk about their ghosts. They're very protective, and they don't want nuts to come in and start hunting around the theater for ghosts. But the Kennedy Center has embraced Mosby the cat, and you can actually buy little Mosby dolls at the merchandise.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because Kennedy himself was a pussy magnet. So it's kind of the cat.
Perfect.
Very much.
Perfect.
No, don't hit me. Don't touch the rabbi. So well, I have a couple of, you're going to stay. I have to go in a few minutes, but you're going to stay on to play the trivia game.
I'll stay.
But yeah.
And Leslie says she's still in the waiting room, Rabbi.
Excellent. Yes. Well, we're going to bring Leslie Hobank Blake to play the game along with Vicky Quaddy from Chicago.
I'll tell Robert, these are some pretty hefty.
Oh, you got some competition.
These are some pretty serious competitors.
But while we have time, when the pandemic hit, I did want to get to this because last time you were on the program was just pre-pandemic. How much did you miss going to the theater for like a year? What did you feel like something drop out of your life, or was it surprisingly like, I could have used a break?
It was torture. I signed up for the Broadway HD so that I could watch shows. And anytime there was a movie of a Broadway show, I would try to watch it. My wife and I actually wound up watching a lot of the old MGM musicals, especially like Brigadoon, things that were adaptations. But they were also on Zoom. There was a lot of theater that was being done virtually. And so I had a chance to watch a bunch of those as well. So, I tried
What was
to.
your favorite? Of all the Zoom directed and Zoom produced shows that you saw, what was your?
Oh man, there was this incredible one about racism. I'm blanking on the name.
Was it English? Was it from?
No, it was American. It was like done by an off-Broad. I think it was Urban Stages hosted it. It was really incredibly well done. I don't want to yell for my poor wife to come and tell me the title because she probably remembers the title.
Why is she supposed to yell at you? That's how it works.
Oh, don't worry. She yells at me plenty.
Oh,
got a little of my own back. So yeah, so that was how I, and also the two little bookcases you see behind me are a tiny percentage of all the theater books that I have. I literally have thousands of theater books. And I've written 21 myself and soon to be 22. By the way, the 22nd one, by the way, which can be ordered now on Amazon. It's actually not coming out till next June, but it can pre-order. It is you have histories of famous stars and you have famous theaters, books, directors, but nobody has ever written a book about the most important collaborator of all in the theatrical experience, and indeed in television, in movies, et cetera, et cetera. And that is the audience. I have written a history of the audience. Now, here it is. It's called Right This Way, A History of the Audience. And it is about all the things that have happened over the years. I went to the National Archives and I got two incredible accounts of audience members who were there the night Lincoln was assassinated and what it was like. Don't forget, he was assassinated just a couple of days after the end of the Civil War. And this was his, he was so stressed out. He was an inveterate theater goer and he went to the theater that night and to relax. And people were talking about how tired he looked and how much he perked up when the show started and how much he laughed at all the crazy old jokes and what it was like when he was assassinated. I have one of the audience members claims to have jumped onto the stage to chase after Booth. And Booth was a veteran actor and knew his way out of the theater very easily. And this guy had trouble following him. But he says, "But I got the scoundrel's hat."
Wow! And then Booth, he broke his leg on the way down. And
yes, he did.
Scramble away and get the.
Oh, he was.
And it's funny. Lincoln that night went to the theater to get something off his mind, and he did his scalp. That's just terrible.
Dark.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Dark.
But
on a happier note, the book also has a history of booing. I mean, it has a whole history of audiences from the Greeks right up until Zoom. So that's coming out.
Now, again, you're retired. You're not working for Playbill anymore, or you're not staying. Are you still working for that? Is it Encore's magazine?
The magazine is kind of on hold for a while, but I'm continuing to do. They also do regional programs around the country. So I do programs for them. I'm the editor of all these programs.
Sweet. But when do you write? Do you have are you one of those writers who blocks out 2 hours in the morning, an hour after lunch, or how do you, because you're very productive at this point. So when are you writing? What is your regime, if you will?
I have a burst of energy late morning. I have another burst of energy just before dinner. And sometimes I will get up in the middle of the night because I can't sleep because the book is writing itself in my head and I don't want to lose it. I do keep a pad next to the bed, but sometimes it gets to be more than I can write in the pitch dark. So I tiptoe out, I come downstairs into my office here, and I work on the book sometimes in the middle of the night. But towards the deadline, basically I'm writing around the clock.
Yeah, oh my God. So how long, like from start to finish, when you had the idea, I think I'm going to write a book about audiences.
Mhm.
From start to finish, how long did it take you from germination to insemination, if you will?
Okay, well, I mean, I had the idea for the audience book a long time ago, but my agent sold it about a year before the deadline. So I've had about a year to work on it.
And you were able to do that within the year. It's wonderful. So let me, before I have to go, but before we bring in Dave, and then you wanted to add one thing?
Yes, I do. I was listening to something you were saying earlier. By the way, I want to let you know I also went to NYU and Hunter. I have my master's degree in theater from Hunter. And also you were wondering about whether birds stutter. And I think I can do a bird stuttering for you. Ready? I believe that is a bird stuttering.
Wow. Oh no.
The talent of this man that wasting all those years on Playbill, you're shipping on Broadway doing bird stutter calls.
No, he could do a ghost. Can he do a ghost bird stutter?
Can you do a ghost bird stutter? It's got to have echo or something. It's got to.
That's as far as I can. That's the best I can remember.
You realize that is going to be your Twitter meme now. People are going to just capture that video and go, Robert Viagas doing stuttering bird. Thank you.
All the things that I've done that that would be appropriate.
I know it's my favorite
thing that makes me famous.
One quick question.
There was a clip I linked to Robert's book in Facebook, but there was a clip from him in 2019 presenting something. Was he?
Did you have another book 4 years ago that you were
about ghost stories, or was he?
You've been lecturing about this all the time.
Yeah, I've been doing the lectures on the ghost stories for like 5 or 6 years, and I'm doing 18 library appearances in the month of October.
When are the next coming up? Tell us. When can we see?
The next one that's coming up is going to be in Port Jefferson on Long Island this Monday.
Oh my God!
I'm going to be in the What? I have 18. I don't want to bore your audience with all 18. It's on my Facebook page, and I can send it to you if you want to post it. I have a grid that my lovely bride made up.
And do you have a website like Robert Viagas does? Do you have a website or just a Facebook?
Mainly I use the Facebook.
Robert Viagas.
Right.
That's it. His link. People can click on your name in chat, Robert, and get to your web.
And they can go on Monday to Port Jefferson
Library. And then I'm in Mamaroneck on I'm looking at my calendar. Mamaroneck on the 8th. And I'm in Seaford, Long Island on the 11th.
Oh wow.
Half Hollow Hills on the 12th. Bohemia on the 13th, etc. A lot of library appearances. I tell the ghost stories.
Buy the book, everybody. You can buy that, and you'll sign if they buy the book. Well, this is bookstores, but you'll be selling.
Some libraries let me sell.
Oh, this is very nice. This is good. So,
my lovely bride just brought me the grid that she made with all my appearances on it. So
what a helpful, wonderful.
Take a picture and post that on Facebook.
Of what? Of the
grid.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. Thank you, Donna.
We've got to bring in. Is her name Lana? Shalom,
Donna.
Donna.
I'm sorry. I'm hard of hearing.
It means lady.
Does it Donna?
Give her her Hebrew name, Rabbi. Maybe what's her Hebrew name?
What should be her Hebrew name? What be like a beautiful, not ghostly, because this would be
Hadassah? No,
Dana Chuchla. Dana Chuchla would be
Dana Chuchla.
Yeah, there you go. We have to bring in our guests are patiently waiting to play the game. So I've got to go away.
I'm sure they were happy to wait while I was doing stuttering bird calls.
Or just have him give the dates of his appearances again. Rabbi.
While I'm going away, instead of playing music, go over again slowly where people can see you, and then the next person we see will be me, and then Leslie Hoban Blake and Vicky Quaddy, and we continue with the Dave's Gone By program. But Robert Viagas, we're going, oh my God, you've got to come back again with more and more stories and more about the. Just keep doing that. Keep doing that. I'll be back. Dave will be back.
All right, I'm appearing. I'm appearing in. Most of these are on Long Island. One is in Queens. One is in Westchester. Port Jefferson on the 3rd, October. Mamaroneck on the 6th. Seaford on the 11th. Half Hollow Hills on the 12th, Connetquot, which is in Bohemia, on the 13th. Oh, hey, Dave. Montauk. I'm way out in Montauk on the 16th. I'm in Middle Island at Longwood Library on the 17th, Plainview Old Bethpage on the 18th, Harbor Fields and Green Lawn on the 19th. I'm at the main branch of the Queens Library in Jamaica on the 21st. I'm in Floral Park on the 24th, Bayville on the 25th, South Huntington on the 26th, Mineola on the 27th, Jericho on Halloween itself, the 31st, Glen Cove on the 1st, which is only virtual, and Middle Country and Center Reach on the 10th. And that is the dullest thing that you have had on your